Gospel artist Jonathan McReynolds, in his song People, asks God, when you said you can heal me from anything, did you mean people? I sing that song these days when I think about systemic racism, because racism sucks. And systemic racism is racism set to scale, which means it sucks exponentially, as do the people who purport it. As a black man who has experienced bias often, I decided long ago that racism, which is hatred, judgment, or oppression of a person or people based on skin color, is the greatest insult to human intelligence this world has ever known. My experience with it is insulting, to say the least. As a child, a young white girl on a ski slope called me a black pig. And yeah, black people do ski. In high school, a white classmate passing me on a flight of stairs casually said, "What's up, nigga?" Freshman year at Xavier University in Cincinnati, Ohio, sightseeing in a nice neighborhood with a few friends, a police officer pulled us over, pulled us out of the car, shoved me against it, and told us we didn't belong there, threatened to arrest us if we returned. Back home in Detroit at the start of my career, another cop pulled me over near the Eastern Market one day. He said I drove through a stop sign, and then he drew his gun and asked me what my effing problem was. Stunned, shocked, vengeful. I felt all of that. Worse, they confirmed to me that no matter what I achieve in my life, I am subhuman to them. Well, I have news. I don't ask for permission to be human, and I love being black. And racism, by definition and nature, is stupid. It's judgment based on fear and lack of information or misinformation that also leads to assumption. In other words, stupidity. The belief that skin color establishes dominance, the adherence to revisionist history, despite the achievements of brilliant black, indigenous, and people of color throughout the world, the stereotypical media images of black people that others accept unchecked, the trust in social media when it's the only industry besides drug dealing that refers to customers as users, all stupid. I'm in my 8th year as executive director of Coleman A. Young Foundation in Detroit, and I take this organization with me wherever I go. But today, I'm just Khary Turner, child of God, son of Ron and Marva, Tunisia's husband, and Max Cole's daddy. And I ain't here to do much. I came to acknowledge black brilliance. I came to call racism what it is and offer some simple ways to kill it, starting where you stand. The timing is right? The murders of Ahmaud Arbery, George Floyd, and Breonna Taylor, the shooting of Jacob Blake have all become a global tipping point. And we're all awake now. And guess what? If we don't screw this up, we just might change the world's consciousness. And so I start by acknowledging every black and indigenous person of color living in a state of PTSD, present traumatic stress disorder. The kind that strips you of your sense of security, makes you operate in a state of bravery, smiling and producing while living life with your guard up. To black Americans, the only people in the world with enough swag to create culture twice, before and after slavery. I acknowledge every underfunded public school district in America and the kids who still succeed after tax dollars and per-student budget adjustments follow white and wealthy families to American suburbs, leaving our amazing students and educators undervalued and strained. I acknowledge every Jamal, Malik, Tamika, and Muhammad whose resumes and LinkedIn profiles never make it past the first round because somebody reads your name and decides instead to interview corduroy and banjo. I acknowledge the first 16 African-American U.S. congressmen, 600 state legislators, and 100 delegates elected during the post-Civil War Reconstruction period, and the 35 of them who were murdered by the Ku Klux Klan and similar organizations. And to the black entrepreneurs who built communities like Black Wall Street in Tulsa, Oklahoma, the Haiti community in Durham, North Carolina, Jackson Ward in Richmond, Virginia, and Black Bottom right here in Detroit, only to see them burned, bombed, or dismantled before their descendants could benefit. For every black athlete who refused to just shut up and dribble, just box or run, serve and volley, for the one who took a knee, I see your courage. I hear your voice. I see my brothers and sisters in spirit who don't look like me or live like me, but see my people's humanity, appreciate our differences, and contribute to this beautiful struggle. And to the ones who changed the music forever and then owned it, salute. If there are 42 million black people in America, there are 42 million ways to be black. Our bond is our shared struggle. Henry Louis Gates Jr. masterfully documents our diversity and struggle in Many Rivers to Cross, and J.A. Rogers does the same in his seminal book, From Superman to Man. Both detail centuries-long warfare between black brilliance and racism's pervasive, persistent absurdity. But that's what racism is. It's a study in complex stupidity. It functions economically and politically at its peak, but it plants seeds in the homes of its people that fester and spread. It began with the elimination and annihilation of millions of indigenous or Native Americans, but then stole, colonized, terrorized, and tortured African people for more than 200 years. Subsequently, it spent an additional 200 years enforcing discriminating practices in politics, education, workforce and economic development, housing, and other areas of American life. It's too much to explore here, but the bottom line is systemic racism affects us all. Maybe you benefit from federal, state, and local laws that place economic leverage in the hands of America's wealthiest people. Maybe that affords you and your loved ones the kind of education, opportunity, and creature comforts we all dream of. And because you thankfully didn't suffer the violent disruption and uprooting of your culture 400 years ago, your forebearers now have economic legacies that are mature enough to support and supplement your hard work when you launch your startup or enroll in college. The difference between you and me is that you live free and feel free from day to day. Black people, on the other hand, live freely, but we battle social, political, and economic boundaries. This, my friend, is where you find the thing we have come to call privilege. It's systemic. And when you're not aware of it, you say things like, well, why don't you just obey when the cops pull you over? Oblivious that my 2 college degrees and solid reputation don't necessarily shield me from the wrath of a biased cop who sees me as less than human, or from a skier who sees a pig, or from a classmate who sees a nigger. That makes sense? You watch TV, you feel entertained. I watch TV, and as my wife says, I feel assaulted. You have the luxury to debate the impact of a global pandemic. I'm mourning 9 friends and telling my therapist what it's like keeping a 6-year-old boy happy while the perfect storm that caught my people in a state of undereducation, and underemployment, and poor public health plays out in real time. And then this tipping point that is police brutality brings it all to our faces in undeniable fashion. Now, for the first time in my life, my white friends see and feel what we have suffered, and we all realize the same thing. This is heavy for everybody, and it's stupid to everybody, and it's going to visit our children if everybody doesn't get on board to change it. So how do we kill racism? First, let's agree. This is a lifelong commitment, and it has to end in a total shift in consciousness. The reality is, we might not live to go to the victory party on this one. But I do have a few steps we can take while we're able. They're not the only steps, but they start with you, and it's for our baby's sake, not ours. Step 1, disrupt the holidays this year. Invite your loved ones to have a hard conversation about their false racial notions and their roles in perpetuating them. Step 2, stop feeling guilty and start being a partner. Guilt works really well for fundraising, I'll admit that, but it's ultimately temporary because it goes away. The NFL is a good example because they could have apologized for their duplicitous responses to systemic racism by making teams offer Colin Kaepernick a new contract. They could have launched a black ownership initiative so black men on the field can see black men and women running a team. Instead, they went on an apology tour and played Lift Every Voice and Sing along with the national anthem, and it all fell flat. It's a beautiful song, but it's textbook pandering, and I might be the only brother under age 50 I know who knows all the words. Step 3. Let's agree to be brutally honest, conscious, and clear. The best relationships in my life hold me accountable and help me to grow, even when it hurts. If you are my partner in this journey, we need to be open and mature, knowing that we'll struggle sometimes on the way to beauty, just like the rose. That's part of the process. It's okay to stumble while you're learning how to abolish an illness and celebrate culture. And on that note, step 4, celebrate black culture. Don't appropriate it. Cultural appropriation is the great itch in our collective black behind. Because when Miley Cyrus twerks or Adele rocks Bantu knots, you send the subtle message that you love black swag, but don't necessarily respect black people. Share the memo. It's offensive. Step 5, teach and follow your children. The easiest way for adults to change our minds is to respond to our babies' filterless curiosities. Their questions will force you to confront your preconceived notions. Your sons and daughters, godchildren, nieces, nephews, they have these antennas that seem to be divinely positioned, and wisdom often comes from their thoughts. Adults? Oh, we're corrupted. So let their questions corner you, and when you don't know the answers, Google them, or call your black friend and follow step 3. Look, my takes are not peer-reviewed or university supported, but my black life and experience does matter, and I wouldn't trade it for the world, scars and all. I simply want my brilliant son's world to be much more equitable than his dad's. So will you take the steps? And let's work together to kill this thing? Because after all, who wants to be stuck on stupid? Thank you.